Alright, what is up, players? Today we're working on these Crimson Paladins. And here's my test model. I always like to do a test model before I try hammering out the rest of the squad. And it helps me to figure out like what I'm going to need mentally to get through the rest of the squad. Like how long it takes you to do a test model is a good indicator of how long you're going to be churning out the rest of them. So I've got this transfer sheet here looking at different transfers to add. I think some cool places would be like the front of the left shoulder pad might be a cool place for an insignia. Down on the right bottom of his leg armor, that might be a cool place to put a transfer sheet, or a transfer from this transfer sheet rather. It looks pretty cool. So welcome to the chat. We'll come back to that maybe as I move on. First thing we'll do is work out this writing on his shield. Oh my goodness. Alright, so the goal today for the stream is to knock out 4 other Crimson Paladins. We'll see if we can get it done on time. Actually, you know what? Let me see what would be a good thing to post here, or to write. Stream, please say hello. All right, here we go. Getting the black paint onto my paintbrush here. I think we're gonna go with duty. Too much paint. Ooh, that's messy. That's okay though. As I always say, painting is all about fixing. Yeah, so it is about 3:30 in the morning where I am. Hope you're all doing well wherever you are in the world. Let me know. I'd love to see where you guys are all from. Oh, this U is kind of messy. I have to go back and try this U one more time. You guys are working on anything for this summer? I hope you join us for our Great Crusade. All you have to do is join our Discord channel. Let us know what you're going to be working on and commit to painting something. Whether it's one miniature or your entire backlog pile of shame. We're going to be working till the end of August. All right, hello, it's a Blood Angel Space Marine. It is Simon. This is a Crimson Paladin from Forgeworld. They are cataphracti armored blood angels, beautiful sculpts. I got my color scheme. If you look up Joy Toy, they do Crimson Paladins, and that's kind of where I've got all of my, I guess, like direction on how to paint these guys. Beautiful sculpts, though. Unfortunately, if you go to Games Workshop's website, then you'll see that it's not available. Let's do some Tamiya Clear Red for the blood drop on his right shoulder pad. Thank you. I just made a short on this, but if you really want your blood drops to pop, then paint them with Mephiston Red and Wild Rider Red first, and then put the Tamiya Clear Red on top. This is going to create much more vibrant, beautiful, bright, like candy red gemstones for your blood drops, and it's going to make them look like candy. And it's also going to help because your blood angel's red armor is already it's so vibrant red. You know, you don't want your blood drops to get lost in the sea of red. So Tamiya Clear Red gives you a pop of that vibrant, glossy, blood red gemstones. It just looks so nice. I play Chaos, but Fantasy. Chaos Warriors of Chaos, or Chaos Beastmen, or Chaos Demons. There's 3 flavors of Chaos. All of them are great. What kind of Chaos do you play, Simon? I think I'm done with him, so I'm going to give him his basing now. Oops. I'm listening for my daughter. We're sleep training her, and she's a little over a year old. And it is rough going, so if she starts screaming and I have to get up and leave again like I did last night, kind of throws off the entire stream. So you're welcome to stay and hang out. At that point, it really becomes like if you're doom scrolling through YouTube. Some people do these things called sleep streams, absolutely ridiculous, where they film themselves sleeping. And I'm like, is this content? Is this what people watch? But apparently so. So that's what my stream is going to become. And you're welcome to stay and hang out till I come back. It could take a couple minutes if I'm able to put my daughter back down quickly, relatively quickly, or it could take hours upon hours, and when I return, I will be so exhausted, I might not even be able to pick up a miniature again. You're welcome to stay. I hope you do hang out, whatever you're working on. If you're going for your morning walk or your morning commute, you want to just see me paint up some blood angels, then you're welcome to stay and hang out. And of course, I've got the super chats active, so if you appreciate and enjoy my work, you have a good time here, I hope you consider supporting my studio financially with a super chat. You can also support by going to the channel memberships and becoming a channel member. I welcome you there as well. However you decide to support my studio, I thank you for it. I've always enjoyed painting and painting miniatures, painting Warhammer. So being able to make a living off of it is one of my greatest goals in life. If I can share my love for painting with all of you, then I'm one step closer to it. Speaking of one step closer, I'm about to break. And I'm about to take a break from this guy because he is done. If anything, I might go back and hit up his little strap for his shoulder armor with some Scrag Brown to bring up that Rhinox hide. But there is my test model for the Crimson Paladins, ready to go to battle. Beautiful figure, beautiful figure. Okay, so That's the standard. I've got 4 other models here. My plan is to save this guy for a actual like full-length tutorial that I'm gonna put on YouTube, like a long-form video where you could just have playing. The rest of these I'd like to finish on live stream if I can. I've got a swordman with a shield. I've got, this is like their leader, I believe. He's got the a spear. It's like the sergeant of the squad. And then you've got an assault cannon guy. Isn't it funny? He's got an assault cannon and he's got a sword. And then your other sword and shield guy. So I'm gonna put this guy to the side, and we will hopefully get to him in his own full-length video. Corn with undivided chaos. Very nice. Very nice. And we'll set these guys here. Okay, let's get going. Another good thing about doing a test model like I just did here, let me see if I can make this shake a little bit less. I've got the clamp from my phone. Let me see if I can angle it high so I don't keep bumping it with my knee, causing it to shake. There we go. All right, welcome to the stream. I've got 6 people watching live right now. I've got to show you my favorite gold paint. It's Metal and Alchemy Necro Gold. Everybody loves this color. It's my favorite, and somebody always asks about it every live stream. So this is what I use for all of the gold, and it's terrific. It's kind of like, it's done for me with golds what Known Oil has done for, you know, for people who want to do some like depth and shading. It's really helpful. Before I get going with it, I'm gonna paint his shield, because we'll be picking out some of that gold in a bit. So earlier today, I set up a question asking what my channel members would like to see me work on in the live stream tonight, and the vote was for these blood angels. So if you want to kind of help dictate, and not dictate, but guide my channel content for these live streams, then channel members are able to do that. So for even the low price of $2.99 every month, you could help decide what WarbossTae does on the live stream. Okay, this is gonna be tricky. How am I gonna get under, in between here? My brush has had it. What was I gonna say? I realized it probably would have been easier if I had this guy in sub-assemblies, but I purchased this squad off eBay. They're already assembled, so I'm kind of working around it. Don't mind, of course, like solving problems creatively is like probably one of the skills you learn in this hobby. Woohoo! This brush has had it. I'm really just using it as a dry overbrush, so I'm not going for like details and stuff with it. That poor brush, it needs to be retired. All right, I think he's good. Okay. All right, I've got my wet palette right here, ready to go. Hopefully some of this red paint dries. Let's get started. Let's do some silver. Let's work our way towards... I might have to start with the gold trim on a different model. I can hear my mentors like screaming at me through the screen. Use your wet palette. Dump off some of that excess paint. But I'm just using lead belcher right now for this sword. I don't think there's any more silver on this model. Can you believe it? Like, lead belcher is such an important paint for so many different armies. Like, you really need it. But for these miniatures, these Crimson Paladins, you only really use it with these swords. Dipping out, what's up, Tay? How's it going, brother? Fair warning to everybody, I use the term brother a lot. I don't know if it's like a Sacramento thing or it's kind of like the same thing as saying like bro or cousin or what's up, cuz? What's up, boss? Yeah, in the Bay Area, it's boss. Isn't that interesting? Like everybody calls each other boss. But in Sacramento, it's brother. So if you don't prefer that gendered term for whatever reason, I apologize. It's just something I'm used to. So deal with it, brother. Yep. Right, all right. I'm gonna get to it. If I can, what I would love to do is get these guys painted and deploy them to the battlefield eBay. I finished a bunch of different lots that I've put up on eBay, and it's really, really helpful to me to help fund my studio. Like, it's painting Warhammer is fun and relaxing, but at the end of the day, it's very expensive. So when I can make content with it, when I can show people like the different techniques, like I just made a video on how to use Tamiya Clear Red to make these red gemstones pop, then that's good for me. That makes me happy. But yeah, look at these gemstones. Cacao. That's the bling right there, son. Using Tamiya Clear Red, it's like really, really intuitive and easy, and it's very good for the miniature. Sorry, it's gonna shake for just a second as I move the charger cord away because I keep knocking it with my knee. I think that's what makes this whole operation shake as well. All right, I want to get painting on this guy, but that red paint needs a little bit of time to dry, so we're going in with some black paint. My process for painting most Space Marines is I do the color of the predominant color of their armor, in this case red. So I've painted Mephiston red, and then I'm going to do some Evil Sun Scarlet when it dries, but the main color of this armor is Mephiston red. I've been very curious about the strength of certain paints when dealing with abrasion, specifically lead belcher. Abrasion, how do you mean, like being rubbed and touched and handled, and how they stand up under use? Yeah, so lead belcher is pretty good. If anything, I would say the paint that I've had the most trouble with has been black, because painting the rims black is like my favorite thing to do, to put like the exclamation point, like the finishing touch on a model. So I've noticed that after handling the miniatures for a little while, the black on the bases will begin to rub off. And that could just be because I'm using very cheap acrylic black paint, but I think it's also because any amount of touching and handling that you do on a model is gonna have the same effect unless you varnish your miniatures. And Games Workshop sells a Munitorm varnish. I used to use Dull Coat as a matte varnish. It's worked very well for me in the past. It tends to dull down the metallics slightly. I've just kind of come to accept that if you want your metallics to pop. Also, any gems, any glossy gems like the kinds that I'm painting on, the blood drops. So if you want to circumvent that, or you want to bring back that shine, all you have to do is varnish your miniature, spray varnish your miniature with either dull coat or gloss coat. So like a glossy coat or a satin varnish or a matte varnish, whatever you want. And then repaint the metallics afterwards. All right, good morning, Chaos Marine Enjoyer. Because like they said, you should always just varnish your models anyways, because it helps to protect and seal them, so that if any dust or whatever lands on your models, you could just wipe them off, blow them off. It's kind of like a little protective shell coating for your miniatures. And yeah, like I mentioned, you've got three kinds. Dull coat, which is going to dull any kind of shine or metallic. You've got satin coat, which is going to leave a little bit of a shine. And then you've got like a gloss coat, which is going to make your models look glossy or shiny, like they're always wet. So it just depends on the kind of finish you want to go for. And everybody's different. I think these guys... what I've discovered doing some research online is that a lot of these Forgeworld miniatures, if you go on the Games Workshop website, they don't have like a 360 view. So it's going to be kind of hard to figure out how to make them, how to paint them, right? But what I've discovered was that Joy Toy makes a great amount of these miniatures. And so you can see how the studio paints them, and like I've learned, oh, okay, so these vents are black, the battery is black, the second plate, the under level plate is black as well, just by looking at the Joy Toy pictures. So you can Google Joy Toy and whatever model you're working on, and hopefully they have it, and you can just check it out. So if you have any questions like, well, I wonder how they painted this, or what color this would be, is this going to be gold, is it going to be red, or whatever, you know, Joy Toy got your back. So yeah, my process for painting something that I'm unfamiliar with is, first of all, check to see if Joy Toy has painted it, or has created a model for it, a product for it. Do a test model, which I've done in the back, and make sure you know, okay, what's my process going to be? How am I going to paint it? And what colors am I going to need? Yada, yada, yada. And then finally go on to the rest of your squad. All right. Painting is it's such a fun, interesting hobby, because you're creating the process, like you know, you're your own boss. You're creating the order in which you paint things. There's no wrong way to paint something. There's no right way to paint something either. If you go online and look for like tutorials or video guides or whatever, there's no one solution for how to paint something. There's the only solution is what works for you. That's the right way to paint something. So you test and you trial and error, and you figure out what what works for you, your style, and then you just replicate it and you make an army out of it. And it's a never-ending process. So even when you find your process that works for you, you can change it up at any time. It's a beautiful thing. We're all different. We all paint differently. We all collect differently. Like my style is to try to paint as quickly as possible to a high tabletop standard. And I like to teach that method, like all my tips and tricks. But if you look on Twitter or like Facebook or YouTube or stuff, some guys make beautiful, excellent, amazing miniatures using airbrushes and different techniques and stuff and whatever. And I love that. It's just I'm never gonna do it like that. You know what I mean? We've all got our different styles. I'm working on a replica currently, but I want to use 40K paint for the metal looking parts. Everyone liked the live. Thank you, DipNow20. There is a wrong way to paint something. I painted a homemade model with nail polish and it's melting. Okay, yeah. That probably wasn't the best thing to do, but the good thing about it is that you learn from it. So there is a lesson in everything, right? Yeah, DipNow20, if you can, like the stream, that would really greatly help push it up the algorithm, push it through the fog, the miasma of slop. I like to consider my content informative, educational, informational, and entertaining so that I can get in front of more eyeballs. That would be greatly appreciated. One of the things that I wasn't sure until I saw the Joy Toy model was I wasn't sure how to paint these little toga things. And they're so weird too. These guys are in this bulky, heavy cataphracti armor. They look like walking tanks and like draped over the front. They've got these little togas. Absolutely ridiculous. This is just the kind of silliness that I like in my Warhammer. It's like, why are they wearing togas? They're tanks. They're walking tanks. Blood Angels are all about that drip. That's why I think these Crimson Paladins look so good. They've got all of this gilding to them. I always like lives. All right. What's y'all's favorite armor pattern? Mine is Saturnine. Mine is Mark III Iron Armor. Definitely my favorite. What's crazy is that like you can't even get off of Games Workshop's store. They're currently temporarily unavailable online. So I have to scour eBay for something that like it should be. You know, it's ridiculous. Like, why is this product not available? This is like the bread and butter for your Horus Heresy game. But I don't know. Like, okay, I can see if you're gonna be sold out of your Primarchs, but this is like your core troop. I don't know. I guess asking to or trying to figure out how Games Workshop stocks their keeps their inventory stocked, or rather like temporarily unavailable, is an exercise in futility. Like there's no rhyme or reason. So along those lines then, talking about these guys, these Crimson Paladins, they are a Forgeworld unit. So this is Forgeworld resin, and I got them from Binks Wargaming on eBay. And Binks has gotten me amazing deals on Forgeworld miniatures. When I was younger, I would get emails from, the newsletter or whatever, and what's the latest release that Forgeworld has come out with? And I would see them and be like, oh my gosh, look, Blood Angels have their own Terminators now. And look at that drip. And I would want to go right out and get it, but because I was a young man in the workforce, my paychecks needed to go towards things that actually made sense and not Forge World resin. So these miniatures were released, and I missed the boat to add them to my collection. And then they kind of not discontinued them, but when they went over to Games Workshop, now it's like you go to the product page and it's going to be temporarily unavailable forever. So you go to eBay and it's like impossible to find them. And then I met Binks, or like not met him, but I bought a lot from him, a Death Guard lot. And I was like, these are really nice, man. And he hooked me up with a bunch of different Forge World Heresy stuff. So I'm trying to help him out now because of, if I can send business his way, then he will continue to help support my own resin addiction. So check him out. It's Binks Wargaming, and I think he changed his name to Binks Wargaming and Paint Studio or Painting Service on eBay. And he's got a bunch of different lots up right now. I think he's got a really nice Forge World Emperor's Children lot up for sale. And yeah, he's always getting a bunch of the Forge World Legion specific stuff. Great guy, Binks. Also new to 40K, so correct me if I'm wrong. Cataphracti and Saturnine is so cool. Yep, I agree. It's hard to say that for me when Salamander Terminators exist. I think Saturnine is going to be a huge hit in the community. It's because it's so different from everything we've seen so far. I was a little on the fence when they first announced it because it looks so weird and different. This huge, chunky, ridiculous, oversized shoulder pads. Like, it looks so weird to me. And then the more I thought about it, the more I imagined pulling up to the table and seeing that on the table, the more I realized, like, it's just going to make the game so much more fun. If you have some Saturnine Terminators or a Dreadnought and you slap that ridiculous honking chunk of plastic on the table, I think it's going to be a fun time for everybody. Like, there's never been a better time to paint miniatures. I always say that because I always truly believe that to the bottom of my heart. If you want to get in this hobby, then there is no better time to do it. Get ready for 3rd edition Horus Heresy. Get into the latest edition of 40K. Get into the old world. Like, there's so much to enjoy about this hobby now. Yeah, and if you guys aren't a part of the Discord, my Discord, then I would love to have you over there. We're doing challenges all the time. Our current big one is the Great Crusade. You guys hear me talking about this like a broken record, so I'm not going to keep talking about it, but it's an ambitious goal. 5,000 painted miniatures across the world, across the entire world by the end of August. And I think we are almost at 2,000. We're heading towards 2,000 miniatures. People are just really knocking it out of the park. I've got some outstanding community members over there that are just turning out miniatures and just blowing through their piles of shame and backlogs. So if that's you, if you've got a big backlog stacking up in the corner of your garage like I do, or in your attic or basement, Then get some miniatures painted this summer. Join me in my community in our Gray Crusade. Love to have you. All right. One thing I love about Cataphracti are these big armor, like tank plates for shoulder pads. Just ridiculous. Red and gold is such a winning combination for colors. I've got some Thousand Suns as well that I'm going to be painting up. This is just like so many beautiful miniatures. Would Horus Heresy be a good place to start in 40K, or should I climb into Old World? Looks so fun. Old World is a lot of fun, especially if you're an older player in Fantasy Army, just collecting dust. But I think the bigger community is going to be Horus Heresy this summer because the new edition is coming out. But also, 40K. 40K is the flagship. So you'll always have fun there. And I think they're saying like, just like how you would do with your tactical squads, your Space Marines in Horus Heresy, like you can bring them over to 40K. They're Space Marines. They're Space Marines in Space Marine armor holding bolters. It's not like a crazy departure to paint or to include them in your 40K army. So maybe they will find ways to do Saturnine Terminators and Dreadnoughts in 40K, in which case, brilliant, just pick up some boxes and like start an army and just add to it. And if they don't do that, then you'll still have your Saturnine box for Horus Heresy. Right? I don't know if 40K has like Cataphracti and Tartaros and what's the other one? Cataphracti, Tartaros, and I'm missing a Terminator. Like designation. I can't think of it off the top of my head. I'm a D&D nerd, so Old World seems welcoming. I would do Skavens. The thing about Skavens is that Skaven is a very popular Age of Sigmar army. So they've been reduced to like legendary or legends, legacy armies. So they're not going to really have any support or releases. That's what they say. Who knows? They might if Old World really blows up. But I would actually focus on one of the other armies and collect Skaven, and maybe throw them on some square bases. Skaven were so much fun in Fantasy. Like they really are banking on them being a big force in Age of Sigmar. That's why they have so many models with the latest Skaventide release. But they are such a fun, wacky army with their contraptions and their Skaven science. All right, I gotta see how they do this spear. Let's see. Silver, gold, black, silver, okay. Right. Yeah, Skaven are a lot of fun. I mean, if you don't mind them being not nerfed, but being only reduced to legendary status, or legacy army status rather, then yeah, definitely go out and grab a couple boxes of clan rats and storm vermin. They've got the rules for all of them, so you can use any available units. All right, that looks pretty good. Probably play everything. Hey man, then you're gonna be just like the majority of us that have 20 bins of armies that they started and never finished. I don't think you can ever finish an army. You just keep collecting and collecting and find the thing you like to collect and paint and play and just start a new army. And it's a business, right? So they want you to spend as much money and play as many different armies as you can. And I think that's fun. Like this week, you feel like being a good guy, being a grumpy dwarf. And next week, you want to be an orc, play a wild orcs and goblins game. I had a friend back when I lived in Hawaii. His name was Joe, and he had all these different armies. We would hang out at his place and in his garage and like spend the afternoon rolling dice and just having a great time and laughing and telling stories and jokes. And he had a bunch of different armies, and he actually was my first commission customer. And I painted a bunch of stuff for him, and that's kind of how I learned all the different techniques that I have at my disposal today. And it's fun. Like you play this game long enough, or you enjoy this hobby long enough, and you will learn a bunch of different painting styles, so that you don't paint your Skaven like you would paint, your orcs and goblins. Every army has different techniques, different ways to paint, different things to do to make them fun. Such a great hobby. And I wish I could engage with it more as a game and as a father, especially of like infants and toddlers, and being a husband. It is not feasible for me to just get away, get in the car and drive. At this point, maybe I can later, but I'm pretty shackled to my family, and that's not a bad thing. I think when you decide you want to stop being a single guy, and you want to go out and be a father, then it's kind of like, okay, I accept this responsibility, give up my video game time and most of my hobby time, and just do it fun. Take lots of video. What am I talking about? I'm doing this spear right now. Looking good, we're having fun. And what else? Oh yeah, that 5 people watching live. Welcome to the party, everybody. If you're just doom scrolling and you happen to stop here, then welcome to the stream. I want to tell you guys a story. most people have heard it if you're a friend of the channel, but this is the story of when I met Kanye West. I was painting in my hobby store in Eldar Farseer, and he was looking for inspiration for his next album cover at the time. This was back before he blew up, before he married Kim Kardashian, and his claim to fame was that he had bombed Taylor Swift's acceptance speech at the Grammys or whatever, right? And he was like, Beyonce got the best album in the world or whatever, and so that's what everybody knew him from. And I guess he was looking around for comic stores to find this certain like graphic artist or comic book artist. And so the manager said, he didn't know who he was at the time. He just called, and the manager was like, "Oh yeah, come on in. I think we've got it in stock." So he came into the store. I was sitting at the counter, and I was painting this Eldar Farseer, and I wanted to do for his cape this like a galaxy tableau. So it was a lot of purples and blues and nebula and stars, and I think it was Eldrad Othwin, actually, not just some regular old Farseer, but it was Eldrad Othwin. The back of his robes I wanted to make look like a universe. And so I'm sitting there hunched over my miniatures when I feel him, this presence, right, just leaning over me. And he goes, "Oh, that's sick. That's sick." I was like, "Oh, thank you." Ooh, I hear a baby crying. I might have to finish this story later. Let me hear if the baby settles first. This is it. This is game time. Once the baby starts crying, I gotta be ready to jet like a first responder. Gotta get into the room, stop the crying. Yeah, so to finish the story, I didn't know who he was. I didn't recognize him because he wasn't, and he's just leaning over me. I'm like, who's this weirdo leaning over me? And then his bodyguard, driver, is this big, like tall white guy with a beard, long hair. And he's like, "Oh, I used to do this. I used to collect these back when I was a kid in high school." And the manager at the store was like, "Oh yeah, what did you collect?" And he was like, it was a game about like gangs or something. And the manager goes, "Oh, was that Necromunda?" And he's like, "Yeah, that was it. That was it. Man, I can't believe people still do this stuff after high school." I don't remember like what exactly he said, but it was kind of insinuating that it was, for kids and stuff. And that was it. That was like the extent of my interaction with the great Kanye West. And then he went looking around for his book. And I remember like the manager at the store at the time said he was looking for this album or this graphic artist that specializes in doing pretty women as like robots or as like techno contraptions. It's like a mix between sci-fi and pinup girls. I was like, "Oh, okay." And then he wasn't there for long, and then he left. And all these girls come in, and they're like, "Oh my God, was he here? Was he in here?" And the manager's like, "Yep." And I'm painting my little metal guy, my little metal Eldred Othwin. I'm like, "What are they talking about?" And Kyle's like, "I think that guy that was just here was like a rapper or something." I go, "Oh, for real?" And he bought the book, and so the manager Kyle like opened his receipt and was like, "Yeah, his name." He signed it, Kanye West. And I'm like, "Oh my God, I have no idea who that is." So it just goes to show. This hobby really brings people together. I don't know why I decided to paint these tonight. Oh yeah, I do know why. I asked my channel members in a poll, the YouTube, and Crimson Paladins was voted. The other options were Death Guard Breachers, Night Lords, Conticard Terminators, a Night Lord Praetor, I think a Space Wolf Praetor. What else was up for? Oh yeah, some Word Bearers, Ashen Circle. So if you would like to be a part of the, I like to call it like the council, the inner circle, who decides what I do on live stream, then I hope you consider being a channel member. It's another perk. You can take part in exclusive polls and do a lot of that kind of stuff. Like behind the scenes, I like to give my channel members that feeling of ownership over my channel. If you're going to support me monetarily, then I want to make you feel like you're getting your money's worth. Also, I'm going to be developing, now that I've got my got a new phone, I'm going to be developing more free downloadable digital freebies, hobby trackers, recipe cards. I've been looking at designing a couple of different project planners and calendar kinds of things. So if you want to have access to all of that for free, it's going to be for my like I said, my channel members. All right, that's enough of a plug. I think I'm just about finished with the first part, base coats, and he's looking pretty good. Pretty happy with him. Okay, so now we're going to be painting on the gemstones, Mephiston Red and Evil Sun Scarlet. And then I think my favorite part, the thing that's going to be well worth watching this live stream, is doing the gemstones. Put our other guys there so we can focus here on this Terminator. Zoom in a little bit. All right, let's find those gemstones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can start from black, but just painting them right on like this is also fine, because I'm going to be using Tamiya Clear Red, which is going to create a glossy red finish. So it doesn't need to look like, I would say if I wasn't going to use Tamiya Clear Red, if I wanted to just make a red gemstone without the glossy finish, then you would have to, not have to, but it would be better to paint off of a black undercoat. That's why I usually like to paint my gemstones black first. It also tells me where they're gonna go on the model and gives me some insight on the colors that might complement the rest of the miniature. But I know I'm gonna do Tamiya Clear Red. So I don't need that. Okay, that's it. Let's go. Okay, no, let me catch up. I would do Skavens. What if I did orcs? Can it go wrong? Right, like orcs are supposed to be bright and loud, and other things are shiny or dark, or like Krieg and Guard are really detailed. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to paint your orcs bright and loud. In fact, some of my, you're gonna find when you do this hobby that like you follow the norm, or what is depicted in the art for the first part of your hobby experience, and then you're gonna want to go and do something different. Like you're gonna want to make some grim dark orcs and some bright like Imperial Guard. Like you're gonna want to collect some Mordian Iron Guard or Praetorians just to try something different and to try something familiar in a different way. and it's all good. Everything can be done with any kind of way. Yep, like I've seen a gray knight painted with neon paint. I've seen some green knights painted in gray, like not silver but gray, and it actually looked really nice, like a stone gray, almost like old school Space Wolves. There's no, yeah, it keeps going back to that thing. There's no wrong way. It's yours. You paid the money for it. Other people don't get to tell you what's right and wrong about what you're doing. All they can say is that, well, that's not canon. That's not in like the year. It's not in the rule book to paint neon green gray knights. But if that's how you want to play, if that's your canon, then that's fine. You are free to do whatever you want. Stars and sparkly stuff. Pre-crash out Kanye was low-key cool. Your Night Lords are really cool. Thank you very much. Do some minis come out with a base coat? Like I've seen unassembled ultramarine parts that were blue. Yes, Games Workshop will produce some miniatures in the predominant color, but it's not even accurate all the time. Like that blue that you're talking about, that sprue, that plastic that they make, it's not an accurate ultramarines blue. They do that just so that it makes it easier to paint for beginners, especially for beginners. And they do that mostly in the beginner, like introductory starter sets. It's an incentive for new players to get into the hobby where the miniatures don't start off as gray plastic. You could actually just build them and start playing with them. That's kind of what they want. They want you to just build it and start playing. Look at, oh, that looks so good. Look at that. It's like a little piece of candy. I love Tamiya Clear Red so much. It also makes a great blood effect. You put some on a toothbrush and just flick it onto your model. This stuff, you want to make sure you get the X27. I saw another clear red that's like X52, 53 something. This is the one that is perfect for blood effects as well as Blood Angels gemstones. Now, the reason why I use it for the gemstones is because look how from a distance, the gemstones, those blood drops really pop. They look like they're a different color than the red of the armor because there's some depth to it. The depth is indicated by the shine, the gloss coat, but your eye is drawn to armor, the bright red, vivid, vibrant red armor, as well as the shiny, glossy blood drops. It looks like cough drops. Looks delicious. Yep, I agree. All right. We'll do a little bit of known oil to darken down the silver, and then I think we'll be done with this guy for now. Let him dry and move on to the next one. In fact, let's go with some Agrax Earthshade instead, just to create some depth. A little bit of a brownish tone, so it's not just like a boring old black shade. There we go. That's pretty cool. Agrax Earthshade is also a pretty good shade for red armor. Let me test out my theory. Yeah, it doesn't have to be an all over. Like, you don't have to douse your entire model in it, but for selective shading, panel lining, doing shadows in between the plates like this, it's pretty good, just to give you a little bit of shadow. something like that. All right. So another one done. I'm thinking I'm just gonna leave all of the shoulder straps, the dark brown leather straps. I'm gonna highlight those separately, I think. Look at that, we're an hour in. We are an hour into this live stream. We're going strong. Let's keep rocking and rolling. I really like when people add stuff like dirt, mud, and gore because realistically, there's a lot of crumping going on. Sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming, and if it's not done in service to the model, like you want the painted model to be the focus. And if you just douse the model in like weathering effects and blood, then that's no fun. It takes away from the impact of the model itself. I think design-wise, a miniature that, or some miniatures that fall into that trap are the Kantakar Terminators for the Night Lords. They really went with the Night Lord aesthetic, and I think they went overblown too much, into overkill. There's like flayed skin and hooks and chains, hanging hands, more flayed skin, bones, chains. It's just like, yeah, too much. Too much. You gotta scale it back, buddy. Now, if they had really leaned in on one aspect of that, like in the flayed skin, then you would see their armor, that dark blue, beautiful Night Lord's blue with the lightning, and then the gold trim. Then you would see like the flayed skin hanging off of it, and that'd be like, oh, creepy. But yeah, with everything else, just a little too much going on. All right, that's my second Blood Angel Crimson Paladin from Forgeworld. Base texturing, yep. The best part about doing base texturing for fantasy, for me anyways, is I got this Geek Gaming product called, I think it's called like Step, STEPPE, or Highland. It's base ready texture, it's ready to go. Just put some glue onto the base of your miniature, dip him in this bad boy, and it's gonna look really nice. I used it on my dwarfs, my dwarf gyrocopter. It looks pretty good on like a regular small infantry size base, but on the dwarf gyrocopter base, which is a larger square, it really looks good. And you can use Elmer's glue, white glue, anything like that, but Geek Gaming sells this specifically, this fast drying basing glue, and it is like amazing. It's one of those things where you don't need to have it. Like if you really want to save and save yourself some money, you could just take some Elmer's glue, some white PVA glue. But what I found is that when I glue directly onto the base of a model, it comes out a little thick, a little too thick. And then when I'm trying to move it around, it is a little too hard, too difficult, not hard, too difficult to maneuver and manipulate. So this fast drying basing glue is perfect. So you could find it on most online stores that sell basing products. Hopefully they have it, and yeah, their range is terrific. They actually also sell a range of this very similar to this this grim dark 40K black charcoal looking base work, but it also has little green crystals in them, which is meant to be for, like, I think Skaven, like it's supposed to represent underground warpstone tunnels. Maybe I'll do like a whole videos on the different products that I have from Geek Gaming. I got a couple. I don't have a lot, but yeah, once I discovered base ready materials, I will never go back to just getting some ballast, gluing on some ballast, painting that, highlighting it, shading it, then gluing on tufts of grass, and then, oh, like that just is like so many unnecessary steps now that I think back on it. When you can just get this base ready scatter, just glue it on and be done with it. All right, I don't want this black paint to get onto my cutting board, so let's take one more look at my test models here. This guy's my test model, and this guy is the first one that I painted here on the stream. Pretty happy with it. I think it looks pretty good. Yeah, well, this one doesn't have the green crystals. There's another one that has the green crystals to it. I think we could take a little bit of a break after this, do something else to cleanse the palette, give us something else to look at besides all this red, and then we can get back to it. 2 out of 5, that's pretty good. Okay, one of the products that I use that I'm pretty excited about is this. I'm not being paid to promote this product. It is a book of backdrops. Now I realize if you want, you can just print out your own backdrops, right? You don't need to go out and buy this, but it's a booklet called John Hodgson's Sci-Fi Backdrops. I also got the fantasy one. 32 paintings to use as backgrounds for your miniatures photography. The ideal way to use it is, because I'm using it on this cutting mat, is I would find a backdrop I like. For example, this far off cityscape looks terrific. Here, let me zoom out just a little bit so you could see it. And then if I was taking photos for eBay or whatever, I'd post it up here. Stand it up, make sure that the lights are aimed at it. Then when I'm ready to, here, let me break this down to show you. When I'm ready to take my product shots, I would take my miniature and I would take some pictures with it, right? But the thing is, I can't, hold on for a second, I can't put it on like a base handle and take a picture because there's all this negative space right here. So what I would do is take something like a CD or like a DVD cover I've seen people use, and say that this is the best for it because it's flat, it's got a large surface area. So like a DVD cover case, a DVD, and paint the bottom, or paint the cover, paint the case, and glue some flocking on it, and just make it look like the ground for whatever scenery you're using. Then it covers up all of this cutting mat. You can just put your miniature right on it, then zoom in, make sure you got the lighting correct, and he wouldn't look like he's standing on a cutting mat. He would look like he's standing on whatever base scenery you've got. Oh no, I gotta wipe that up. Good old-fashioned spit take. All right, yeah, John Hodgson's Book of Backdrops. Let's get my phone back in the case here. All right, I'm looking at what I have left to do for this commission or this series. I want to sell this on eBay as quickly as possible. but I think I'm gonna step away from the Blood Angels for a bit before my brain melts. So just looking at what I have left to do, I'm gonna do a video tutorial with this guy. So he's gonna be kind of on his own. Then I've got these two guys here that I need to paint up. And I remember originally I was gonna paint up this guy on the stream, but all this was wet. Remember that? About 60 minutes ago, half an hour ago. So he's pretty dry now, but yeah, I don't think I'm gonna come back to him tonight. We've got some great content already painting up these two guys. So let's put away our Blood Angels, and I'm going to take a look at what I've got that we can do quickly. I got some Deathcore of Krieg here, but it's not primed. I can talk about one more product that I like. An interesting product that I like is Green Stuff World makes these resin candles. And they're like their resin skulls product that I showed off a little while ago, or in an earlier stream. But the way I would use this is for a miniature that is like prone to using candles. So like word bearers, spray the whole thing first in primer, right? Because it's resin. And then you can see I've already started breaking some pieces off. You guys hear my dog barking? She's dreaming. Oh, look, she's sleeping with her eyes open. She's dreaming that she's chasing the squirrels that come by in the morning. Every morning they go to the sliding door because they could see the squirrels running up and down the oak trees outside. And they just have a wonderful time barking their heads off and waking up the entire house. All right, what was I talking about? Yeah, these candles would be great for Mechanicus. Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. And they're in various states. Ooh, sorry for the shake. They're in various states of melting, which is great. And what I found to be a good way of using them is to use some UV resin. See if I can find it. UV resin is kind of just like, I don't know how you would describe it. It's not like glue, but you could use it as an adhesive and then hit it with an ultraviolet light. Like I've got this tiny little ultraviolet flashlight to make it dry. And then it creates very realistic looking drips. If you've seen my Blood Angels Death Company Dreadnought, that's where I've used the candles last. They look really nice. They're very cool looking. So yeah, I think it was something like $4 or $5 on eBay. Very cheap, but you don't get very much. It's very small amount, but it's a good product to use. All right, that's more Krieg that needs to be taken outside. I've got another Death Guard Praetor in Cataphracti armor. All right, let's see what we've got. Death Guard, Cataphracti. Could do a couple of Night Lords, current 40k Night Lords with Etsy shoulder pads and helmets. I could do a couple of those. would need to do the whole squad though, so maybe not. I don't think I can do 10. I like to batch paint, assembly line, batch paint, and go through things. So if I could paint like a character after I do a squad, then that always is easier on my brain. Good morning, Belfagor. All right, so this is the gyrocopter base I was talking about for the fantasy base ready scatter. And you can tell like the random grass, rocks, and little fuzzy bits make it look perfect for doing like a mountainous rocky region. They've also got different kind of base scatters for doing regions that don't look like they're in the mountains. But I think this really accurately represents like a rocky mountainous terrain, and it's perfect for the gyrocopter. There he is. What I like about these gyrocopters too, they were made at a time when Games Workshop really wanted to do the ball and socket. So instead of just jamming on your flying machines and having them sit perfectly in the center, now you can make them look like they're banking. They're coming around, they're pulling some kind of fancy flight maneuver. You can also make them look like they're going in for an attack run, having the nose down like that. Looks great. So much great like little design bits in the gyrocopter. All right, I've got some Mark 6 Marines that need to be primed, so those aren't going to work either. That's one fancy aircraft. I thought I had more stuff. I've got these bins of things here at my desk to be painted, and I've just got to finish working on them. So yeah, this is the alternate build for this Praetor. We could take a look at this for a second as I continue to avoid doing more work. So this is the Praetor in Cataphracti armor for the Death Guard, and this is the same model with a helmet. So no helmet and helmet. Everything else is exactly the same, but notice how the addition of a helmet really changes the look of the model. Helmet, no helmet. I only see feet. Pallid hand scheme. I'm not sure. Is that like a war band? It's 30K, so this would be the original Death Guard colors. I used some transfers, like the veteran transfer on the cape, the crossed sides on the leg, and the Death Guard symbol on the shoulder pad. It's looking a little shiny. I'm going to dull that down with some microsol. All right, that should take down the shine, dissolve the transfer so that it looks more painted on. Oh yeah, and I used some resin skulls for the base work there. So, okay, so this is an option. We could paint his brother, this guy. I can also, if I could find where I put them, paint some of the things that I started today that I wanted to work on. I've got a bunch more Blood Angels to work on. Thousand Suns. I just had like 10 Mark III Death Guard Breachers. Here we go. Let's do some breachers. Alright, so I'd like to plug my studio again. If you guys are interested in commissioning me to paint anything for you, I am available as a commissioned painter as well as a YouTuber, under the assumption that I'm going to take whatever I'm painting for you and make content out of it. Alright, here we go. The Death Guard is nice. That green is Caliban green with Death Guard, or Death World Forest, that's right. Death World Forest highlights. So let's make it a Death Guard stream for the rest of this stream. We'll only do 10 minutes. We're not going to do a lot, but I will set this up so that we have something ready to go for tomorrow. And I've also got another Death Guard Praetor, but this one's not in Cataphracti armor. So he looks really good as well. So he'll be back here. So I'll be working on the Blood Angels, just alternating, going back and forth between them and these Breachers. All right, let's get on the same page. We'll put the leaders in the back, then we'll put the Breachers in the front. So as you can see with the Breachers, I got started by doing the base coats and the shades. The base coat is just Rakarth Flesh. The shade is Seraphim Sepia. This is the point where I would start working on the other colors, blocking out the other colors. Zoom out a bit, there we go. One, two, three, four, five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I also wanted to do something different with the shields. I did a splotchy application to make the shields look textured. So I took one of these brushes. I absolutely ruined the brush, but I'm going to use it from now on as my texture applicator. So it's just like a regular dry brush that is now completely messed up. But I just took, first I started with Rakarth Flesh and I stabbed the paint onto it. And this is off of a bone colored undercoat primer. So something like this, so that I could get just like a splotchy effect. And then I took my Wraithbone to do the dry brushing and did another application of splotchy, just stabbing motion on the shield. And then once you put that Seraphim Sepia wash, it looks really nice. So now what I'm gonna do is we're gonna do the shoulder pads. And we're gonna start with Castellan Green. I have to actually take a look at the artwork to see what the sculpted design is going to look like, the colors for it. because all of these have sculpted shoulder pads. So I'm pretty sure the background is still going to be green. Then I think the starburst is going to be silver or black. And then the skull on the inside is white. Have you tried the Mortarian Grime shade? No! There's a Mortarian Grime shade? I imagine that's like a mix between Agrax Earth Shade and I would say Athonian Camo Shade. Or Seraphim Sepia, maybe? That sounds terrific, though. I would love to try it. And then I think for the... If you're a Death Guard player, why don't you answer me this? Or if I could ask you, if I could presume to ask, do you do, for the trim, Rune Lord Brass? Because that's what I'm kind of leaning towards. I'm going to dig in my box of tricks here, see if I can find the pot of Rune Lord Brass. Finding a lot of Retributor armor, and I think that's a little too clean, too bright, and too, what's the word I'm looking for? Too high class, too pretty. Here we go. Rune Lord Brass seems like it's going to be the best. It's a bit like sepia shade, but greener. It's a pretty light effect. I've never heard of it. I want to try it now. Yeah, thanks for letting me know. I want to definitely see if I can get a hold of some. I'm not selling those, by the way. Do we know yet what the release date is for Saturnine? The Horus Heresy box? I'd assume it's summertime, right? But I don't know if they released a release date. All right, back to double digits. Welcome to the 10 of you who are currently watching my stream. Thank you for joining me on this beautiful Friday morning. I cannot see outside my window because it is 5 o'clock in the morning and the sun is not out yet, but wherever you are in the world, whatever time of day it is, I hope you're going to have a great Friday. As we move into the weekend. Yeah, it's a little bit better. Get all the rivets. Make your mama proud, boys. Paint all the rivets. Don't skip any. Right. And I'm getting tired. Let's power through. Nurgle's whole thing, the Death Guard's whole thing was just implacable, stoic, forward momentum. Can't stop the Death Guard. And so you're not going to stop me. I'm going to finish painting this guy at least. I need a test model to make sure that everything is going to work the way I want it to work. Let's move these guys out of the way. Then we can just focus on this guy. Yeah, I like it. The question I was wondering was, should I stick with, like my other Praetor, I painted him in that Necro Gold from Scale Color. I wasn't sure if going to this Rune Lord Brass was a good idea, but I think it is. This is the way to go. All right, players, I am gonna cut it here. I hear my baby crying, so I'm going to go and take care of that. And I wanted to finish this, but I think it'll be okay if we cut it here, and I will get back to it. So I hope you have a great day wherever you are, and thanks for checking out this stream. Again, if you'd like to support me, you can become a channel member. You can support with a super chat or a super sticker, any of that stuff. I hope whatever you're painting, you paint it good and finish your paint jobs. Blast through your backlogs and your piles of shame. If you need any help, then I hope you join the Discord and take part in our great crusade. Thanks for watching, everybody.